In part 1 of this course, you'll start building your robot. Before you add anything, let's take a look at what you're building toward, because the finished machine explains where everything you're about to do fits. Here's the fully configured robot you'll have at the end of this course. This is the Configure tab, and the Blocks section lists everything on the machine. In Viam, a machine is defined by its configuration. Each entry here is a configuration block. It describes what the resource is, how it's set up, and where it's positioned in 3D space. Blocks come in two kinds. A component is a piece of hardware your machine controls. The arm and the gripper are two examples of a component. A service is a capability that runs on top of components, motion planning, or the two services here that draw the cell in the 3D scene. Switch to the JSON view, and you can see the whole machine in one document. Every block you just saw in the resource list view has an entry here. This document lives with your machine in the cloud in the Viam app. When you edit the config for a Viam machine in the app, either here in the JSON view or in the resource list view, Viam server picks up the change and your machine is updated accordingly. That's the loop you'll use for the whole first half of this course. When Viam server reads a config for a Viam machine, it needs an implementation for every resource listed. And those implementations are called modules. Some modules are built into Viam server itself. The simulated arm you'll work with in this course is one of those. No download, it's already there. Most modules come from the Viam registry. This is Viam's catalog of hardware controllers and other types of modules. For every resource listed in your config, Viam server downloads the required module, starts it, and keeps it running. You can watch that sequence of events reflected in your machine logs as you add components to your machine. Every module that implements a type of hardware implements the same API. Here we can see the API for grippers in Viam. And here's the API for arms. So any code you write is written against the hardware type, not the vendor. And a simulated arm implements the same API a physical arm does. That's what makes this course work. Everything you build against the simulated UR5E in this course runs against a real one. You won't type every one of these blocks by hand. You add the arm, the gripper, and the floor yourself, one block at a time. Because we'll work with each of these components to teach the core concepts for this course. The rest of the cell, the pallet, the pick station, and the two scene services, come in a single block called a fragment. A fragment is a pre-built bundle of resources published in the registry, like a module. Fragments are how a team configures 10 identical machines without typing the same config 10 times. A machine is its configuration. Viam server makes each block real with a module. Most modules come from the registry, and every type of hardware answers to one API, simulated or real. In the exercise for this section, you'll add your first two blocks, a simulated arm that's built into Viam server, and a vacuum gripper whose module downloads from the registry.